Hey, you guys, I'm back again with another message from the Lord. Been enjoying my little days off of not recording, but I know this message needs to get out because the phone started recording by itself. But y'all, it is important to wait to avoid the heartbreak. And I'm going to say that again. It's important, it is so important to wait to avoid the heartbreak. A lot of God's children have experienced heartbreak due to them not waiting on God and not waiting on God's timing and feeling like your biological clock is ticking or feeling like you are missing out on so much things, so you begin to settle or you begin to um settle for certain people, places, and things that are not a part of your purpose. It is so important to wait to avoid the heartbreak. And I can say this for myself. That's why we have to get from around people that try to make us feel bad about not achieving certain things at a certain time, because everything happens at God's timing. Y'all know I told you before I was married, right? But before I got married, I did have my questions. I did have my doubts about that particular person because something was off to me, and that was my spirit of discernment kicking in. However, I was around other people that gas was gaslighting me and making me seem like, oh, it's just you just having cold feet, or oh, that's completely normal. No, it's not. No, it's not. Have I would have followed my discernment that I was ignoring due to listening to other people and went to God and fast to God for myself, I could have avoided heartbreak. But we serve a God that God will use all things, all right? The good, bad, and the ugly for his purpose. And so, have I would have waited, I would have avoided the heartbreak. Have I would have waited on God's timing, I would have avoided the heartbreak. And it's like now I'm starting to see, because I have been there. That's why I said God will use all things. All things work together for those that love the Lord and that are called according to his purpose. And what the devil meant for bad, God will make that thing for your good. So God used that for me to be able to identify and help and talk to others when they are going through certain things similar to what I had went through. I know I had mentioned to you guys before that one of my friends, he was engaged, and they were engaged for a while, never really set a date, but they started experiencing a lot of turmoil, a lot of things within their engagement. And God clearly told me to ask this particular person, did he went to God and pray and ask him was that his wife? And his answer was no. Y'all, shortly after that, a couple of months later, he experienced his heartbreak because his fiance no longer wanted to be with him. Y'all, we have to learn how to wait on God and wait on his timing. Another particular man, right? I had met through passing, met through another friend, and I picked up in the spirit. I'm like, God, something is off. Like, he's a man of God. He loves you to the fullest, but something is off. Um, but God told me it had something to do with marriage. And God told me to pray for him. So I intercede for him. I ain't even spoke to this person personally. I just picked up in the spirit that something was off. Like I said, I've been there. This person, the more they were growing into Christ, like I said, this is a man of God. He truly loves God. The more he was growing into Christ, the more he began to live life on purpose, the more he began to be obedient and submit to God. It was like the more he felt like his marriage was falling apart, and he experienced heartbreak. Because sometimes, y'all, when we don't wait on God's timing, the person we choose will begin to be our God, because we'll put that person before God. But this particular person, as he began to get closer to God and God began to use him and deal with him to minister to people, like he is really gifted, really a man of God. It's like he experienced his marriage falling apart. And y'all, that happens a lot when we choose not to wait on God and wait on his timing. And that's why it's so good, y'all, for us to wait to avoid the heartbreak. Because sometimes we can be with people that are only meant to be in our lives for a season and not meant to be in our life for a lifetime. So here we go. Starting relationships or being in relationships with people that only are supposed to be in our life for a season. They're only supposed to come and teach us something for a season. And then they're to exit stage left. And so I was able to pick up on that because I've been there. I've been to the point where God really began to use me and deal with me because when I was married and I was in my word, and I just grew really hungry for God's word and really wanted to be used by God and say, okay, God, here I'm available for you to use me. During that time to experience a heartbreak because I was with somebody that I was not supposed to be with. I was with someone that was not a part of my purpose. Actually, that should have been my waiting season for God to prepare me for marriage, because God wanted to use me not only for children but for women as well. And so that should have been my waiting season. That's why we got to understand what season that we are in. Because if we don't, we will allow the enemy to push us into a season that we're not supposed to be in. And that should have been my season of preparation. That should have been my season of me being in position to be conditioned for the mission. That should have been my season of God capacitating me. That should have been my season of me being able to identify my purpose. You have to know all these things, y'all, before you get into marriage. Because if you don't know what your purpose is, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have any type of submission to God, you are not ready for marriage. You are not ready for nothing serious. Even with the man, the person that I was married to, he didn't have the capacity to take care of a wife. He didn't have the capacity to love a wife like Christ loved the church. Why? Because he wasn't fully operating in his purpose. He wasn't being 100% obedient to God. He didn't know how to be a servant. So if you don't know how to be a servant, how can you be a leader? He didn't know how to be a provider. So if you don't know how to be a provider, how can you be a husband? So it's so important that we wait on God's timing. That we wait to avoid the heartbreak. So many people are experiencing heartbreak in this season, in this time, because this is a season and an hour where God is really revealing to his children what their purpose are. And now they're waking up to realize, okay, well, I'm in my purpose now, but the person that I'm with is not a part of my purpose. And they're experiencing heartbreak because that person could not go into this new season that they're entering into. That's hurtful. And these are people that they build family with, they have children with, they help raise children with, that they build memories with, can no longer go into this new season that God is ushering them into. So whoever this message is for, wait. I'm telling you from my experience. I wish I would have waited. I wish I would have listened to that spirit of discernment that was within me that was trying to tell me to walk away. This is not the one. Walk away. He is not ready for you. Walk away. He don't have the capacity to love you. Walk away. Y'all, we have to learn how to wait to avoid heartbreak. We cause our own heartbreak by not being obedient, by not waiting on God, by not seeking God for clarity and confirmation. We cause our own heartbreak. So like I said again, whoever this message is for, wait. There's so much peace. There's so much pleasure. There's so much purpose in your wait. So I encourage you, whoever this message is for, to wait to avoid the heartbreak. I love you guys. I pray that you all have an amazing day, and I will chat with you all later.